And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Grog Island. Grog Island. This is a game about pirates, but not swashbuckling pirates. These are retired pirates. It's time to give up a life of pirating and instead open up some a chain of retail stores, right? This is an auction-style game in which you are taking different actions. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't really know what I would categorize this game as. I think the best way is just to show you what it looks like. The goal of this game is to get the most victory points, and you can see there's a victory point track here. You'll get a few victory points during the game, and you'll get some victory points for every 5 gold that you have at the end of the game. But the main way to get victory points is from these victory cards, and each victory card will have something different. This says if you have the most houses in this area here, you'll get 6 points, and if you have at least 1, you'll get 2. This says you'll get 1 point. I know that this seems weird as a symbol for victory points, but it is. Pirates like bones. You'll get a point for every one of these you have at the end of the game. You get a point for every treasure map you have at the end of the game. You'll get a victory point for every house or you get 3 victory points for every house that shows the cannonballs, which are here, here, and here. Here you get a victory point for every house that shows a hook. You get 2 victory points. Here you get 2 victory points for every house. Here you get victory points for having the most. So you can see the different kinds of victory points are many of them have to do with controlling these houses up here, and that's how the game works. Now players are going to have different resources, and players will have gold here on the side. Everyone starts with 8 gold, but you also will have some of these treasure chest cards in your hand, which are between 1 and 3 gold. So you start off one of those, so when you start the game you have 9 to 11 gold. No one knows how much you have. Now one player each turn is going to roll the dice, and you're going to place these dice on their matching colors like this here. And then they make the first bid. Players are going to be bidding gold. And so, let's say it's my turn, I can bid 3 maybe. So I put the orange die here to show that I'm bidding 3. The next player might want to bid higher than me, so they say 4. They'll take the orange die off and put this one here. The next player wants to go to 5. They want to use a 4 and this 1 die here to bid 5 gold. And they always have to put the highest die first. So here they'd put a 4, and here they'd put a 1. And then maybe on my turn, I'm like, no, I'm going to bid 7. So I put this one back, and I put the 3 here, but I want to use the yellow die. So there's my 7. Now the next person decides to pass. When you pass, you look at the dice that are gone, and those are the tokens you take. So here I get a lemon, and I get some hard cider. So I'll take those tokens, and then I get to put my token down here on one of these ships. When you put a token on a ship, you can use the bottom or the top. If you use the bottom, and I have 4 hard ciders here, or 4 rums, I can trade those in to put one of my tokens, take up shop in one of the empty houses up here. And whenever you take up shop, you will automatically get gold equal to all the empty houses in that row. Here I would get 1 gold because there's one other house in that row. So that's one way to do it if you get 4 tokens of a type. Or you can use the top ability here, which says I can trade 2 orange tokens in for 3 gold each. Here I can trade 4 in for 2 gold each, 1 token, fish token for 4 gold. Here I can trade 3 of these tokens and get up to 3 tokens, and I can get these parrot cards. These parrot cards let you re-roll dice when it's your turn, or let you make a bid that someone else has bid without going higher than them, and you can use the same bid. So these are very helpful in bidding purposes. Over here you can get treasure cards, and then here you can get more of these victory point cards for the end of the game. Now you say, but this treasure card doesn't match anything. You are right. That's because at the end of each round, all the ships move, and this comes over here. So the ships are going to be different each turn as to where they are. When you build a house up here, you also will take note of these clouds, which are placed here randomly at the beginning of the game, and each cloud does something different. Like this one here, you get no money when you build in that row. This one here, whenever you build in that row, you get a parrot code. This one, when you build in this row, you get a victory point. So things like that. Now eventually someone's going to win the bid. So let's say someone wins the bid with these 3 dice. They then get to put out 2 houses. They cannot be the same type of houses, so I can't put out 2 anchor houses, and they have to be in these rows. So it would be in the yellow row and the orange row. I also get a victory point. If this die had been here, I would also got to put a lock token that basically just puts it on a house so nobody can go in it. And if I used all 5 dice, I would get an extra victory point. I would then pay the amount of my bid using either cards or the amount of money that you have next to the board, and then we go to the next round. This will continue to go until one player has put all of their markers out on the board. When all one player's markers are out on the board, players will then reveal all their victory point cards, score points for those, add those to any points they've gotten during the game, plus every 5 gold is worth a point, and every treasure card that you have is worth a point. The person with the most points is the winner of the game. So that's kind of interesting here to take a look at this game. The auction is really unique, where you have those dice, and when you're doing an auction, there's a couple things. First of all, you're trying to pick the right numbers. The numbers are based on what dice were rolled and how much money you have. And as you pick these dice, you have to realize what goods you're giving to anybody else who passes. And so there's a lot of different things involved in that. Also, the number of dice you use are the number of rewards. You will very rarely win an auction with 1 die. You'll probably need to use at least 2 dice. So the winner of an auction is going to get 2 shops, which can be a lot of points and or money, at least in the beginning of the game. And I have to say, that rule about getting money when you take a shop of all the houses in the same row that are empty, I'm not sure I'd like that, because it gives a lot of that very first auction in the game. The very first auction, whoever wins that auction has the possibility to get back like 6 gold. And since everyone starts with 8 or 9 to 11 gold, whoever draws a 3 card can simply bid 11, if the dice allow it, win, get 6 of that back, so they now are at 6, and someone who might have only gotten 1 gold is at 9. They're really not at that far of a disadvantage to that person. So I found that first bid is a little off. I wish there was a way, either that or give, I don't know how to fix that, but that was odd. As the game progresses, it evens out. It's no big deal. But I think you shouldn't give the money for when you put the houses down. As it is, I like everything else about the game, but it's light. Now, one of the things that I've complained about other games is that pile of gold cards is 1 to 3 money. And I don't like that sort of randomness always. There's a game recently, Dreaming Spires, where that totally derailed the game for me. Here, I don't mind it nearly as much because it's minor. You can get a lot of extra gold. You can get lots of those cards, and they don't determine the whole course of the game. They just give you a little bit of randomness. And in fact, other than the one you get at the beginning of the game, you can just take the other ones. And so you are basically taking a random 1 to 3 gold, or you can go to other spots and just take straight up gold. And so that works well in this game. This game is really all about the auctions. You do the auction, and then boom, 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 everyone does their actions. And where you put your guy on the ship at the bottom can block other people, and you might go to a spot that they were planning to go to. But essentially, you're just trying to get as many of those resources to build those houses and or sell them for gold so that you can win auctions. It's easy sometimes to forget the focal point of the game because you're like, ooh, look at all the stuff I'm getting. But you need to focus on getting your victory point cards finished. And the more of those you get finished, the more points you get. The game looks and actually is a little bit more complex than it actually comes out, but I still enjoyed it. The theme was okay, the artwork is great, and it's something different, which is what I'm always looking for. A different way to do an auction. I'm not a huge fan of auctions in games, but this one, using the dice, having some of the money hidden, just some of it, having the rest of it there, and then if someone else does beat you in an auction, maybe they use all the dice, that gives me a lot of goods that I can get. Passing first gives you the opportunity to pick the ship you want first. And so, like I said, there's a lot of interesting features of the game. There's a couple parts I'd cut out. I'd cut out the money. I'd cut out those clouds at the top. They were more of an annoyance, like, oh yeah, if I build one in this column, it does this. But the parrot cards are great, the pirates and the gold cards. So, all in all, an enjoyable game. Certainly something different. Grog Island. Dice Tower Judgment. Approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
thing.